Hello ladies and gentlemen, Krzysztof the Polish Geek welcomes you to the review of a new Polish crime thriller mystery movie, Colors of Evil Black, which is a sequel to Colors of Evil Red, which came out back in 2024, and I actually reviewed it back in the day when it came out. And now I'm reviewing the sequel, Colors of Evil Black. And by the way, I also learned that both movies are actually based on crime thriller novels by a Polish writer, Małgorzata Sobczak. Actually haven't read either of them, and apparently she's written more books actually, which I'm very much hoping for them to get adapted as well actually. But yes, Colors of Evil Black is a sequel to Colors of Evil Red, and the first thing I have to say is I did overall like the movie, but I do think that I ultimately prefer the first one, and we'll get to it soon, but it involves huge spoilers, so that's why the reason I prefer the first one, we'll get to it at the end actually, because again, it very much involves a twist. So that's why we'll get to it in the end. But first, I will say that while I did overall prefer the first one, I still think that Colors of Evil Black has pretty much all the things I very much liked in the first one. And from the first two acts I was even thinking, I might even actually like it more than Colors of Evil Red. Like, the atmosphere is simply excellent, because the story is about this Polish prosecutor, Leopold Bilski, and then two little boys get missing, so Leopold Bilski goes to this small Polish town of Kaszubia and has to investigate the mystery, what happened and all his interactions with the townspeople and all this is all so interesting and fascinating and kind of disturbing and creepy too, when you see the townspeople at a completely indifferent attitude towards the whole thing and all their experiences and the way he talks to people and pieces the puzzles and all this, all some really interesting, fascinating stuff. It is kind of different from Colors of Evil Red, because Colors of Evil Red was kind of taking place congruently, two things happening at once. I mean, not two things, like separate things at separate timelines, but Colors of Evil Red had two separate timelines. One, how it all led to the murder, and then the other one, investigating the murder of the young girl. And then, basically at the end, we all got how it all came together to it. While Colors of Evil Black, while it does have plenty of flashbacks to things happening in the past, very much tying into the mystery that he's trying to solve, but most of the time, the movie actually takes place in real time, which is a quite nice change of pace, because after all, you can't have always everything the same, can you? But overall, I think it is really engaging. The way, just like Leopold Bilski talks to those characters and townspeople, is really interesting. And then actually the second main lead, the one that actually mostly helps him with that, is actually the mother of that boy who's missing. Her name is Julia Sorman, and I think their dynamic is really well done. Julia does tend to actually yell at Leopold from time to time, which is pretty understandable, because the more information we learn about her in town as a whole, it becomes more understandable and makes perfect sense. But also, it's her son who's missing, and we can totally understand the fear that she's going through and all, while Leopold, who has a little daughter of his own, could theoretically understand her situation, since he has a daughter of his own whom he deeply loves. But that's why actually pretty much in the beginning of the movie he actually sends his wife and daughter away, so that his daughter doesn't actually get kidnapped by a supposed serial killer that kidnaps children actually. But again, what really works in this movie is not simple mystery actually, but because this isn't merely about the mystery of tracking a supposed serial killer, but more of a exploration of a deep human nature and the town of Kaszubia, which Leopold is investigating. Because again, as he's talking to witnesses, to the police officers of the town, he's learning various local folk legends and discovering really some dark secrets of the town and the citizens, and also seeing the pretty much indifferent and cold-hearted attitude, seeing how sometimes before a really nice facade, some really dark hidden mystery is hidden, as well as sometimes a really disturbing truth of the human nature. Because again, Leopold discovering the mysteries of the town and all is actually one of the most interesting and major things that this movie is very much about. What I also have to compliment is the performances. I think Jakub Gierszow is really great as Leopold Bilski, but also Marianna Zydek as Julia is pretty good as well. Yep, the performances overall are pretty good, but I think those two main leads are by far easily the best ones. So now, I already said in the beginning that I think Colors of Evil Red was overall a better movie, and it's a shame too, because in the first two acts I was actually thinking, I might actually like Colors of Evil Black even more than I liked Colors of Evil Red. So now we're getting into gigantic spoiler territory, because it very much involves an ending, a twist. And I know, generally when you're reviewing a mystery thriller, you shouldn't really reveal the twist, because the twist is really what this is largely all about, or at least partially. Not this one. This one is also largely about legends and nature of the town as a whole, not just the mystery itself, but... So, let's just say, again, now I'm going to reveal this huge spoiler, because I'm going to reveal the twist now, because in order to explain why I ultimately think I preferred Colors of Evil Red, I just have to reveal the twist at the end of the movie. So if you're still here with me, I suggest you leave now. Unless you've seen the movie, then I guess you can just stick around in that case, but if you haven't seen it and want to, leave now. Still with me? Well, okay, then we are proceeding, and yes, because as I just said, from the first two acts I was thinking, I might actually like this one more than Colors of Evil Red, but then when it was revealed of who the culprit is and everything got solved, that's when I ultimately felt pretty disappointed, and that's actually my biggest issue with this movie, the reveal and the ending, because I've been quite vocal on this channel how much I despise making villains sympathetic, and newsflash, yes, the culprit, they made him sympathetic by basically revealing that his first supposed victim from 2 years ago, was merely a pure accident and he never wanted to kill the boy, but also revealing that he suffered some real trauma as a kid by seeing his mom commit suicide. And that reveal wasn't necessarily bad, it was actually a pretty disturbing and heartbreaking flashback, so in some ways this could actually work, but problem is they made him sympathetic, and I really hate that, because again, there's a difference between tragic and sympathetic, and they could really keep the flashback just either to maybe make him tragic, or maybe actually show him to be a complete psychopath who wasn't really frightened by that view of his mother committing suicide in front of him, but whatever. It was revealed that his very first victim was a pure accident, and then his second victim, the boy, the son of Julia, who Leopold and Julia were looking for throughout this movie, it was revealed that he actually didn't really feel comfortable killing him, and that was supposed to be his first victim actually, and he ultimately didn't succeed in killing him. So yes, they basically made him sympathetic, which kinda maybe not ruins it, but does very much lower lots of points that for something that could otherwise be a really great movie. Again, I've been quite vocal on this channel how much I hate making villains sympathetic, and I don't see a reason why they have to do it here, because in Colors of Evil Red, the main villain was a gangster, a serial killer, a gangster and serial killer in one. You couldn't get more evil and unsympathetic than that. But here, unfortunately, they made him very much sympathetic. But then again, considering both are based on novels by Polish writer Małgorzata Sobczak, then I guess that's how it was in the original books as well. So I guess I can't really fully blame the writers on that. But yeah, the fact that they made a culprit and the villain sympathetic, I just wasn't happy with that. And that's why ultimately, even though throughout the first two acts I felt like this could actually even be better than Colors of Evil Red, ultimately I have to say I prefer its predecessor, Colors of Evil Red. But overall, other than that reveal that I wasn't a huge fan of, I do think Colors of Evil Black is a worthy sequel, and overall I was really happy I watched it, and I'm very much hoping that they're going to continue the series and give us more of crime mystery adventures and investigations of prosecutor Leopold Bilski. But overall, again, loved most of the movie, really wasn't a fan of the final reveal and making the culprit sympathetic, but oh well, let's just hope that they're still going to continue those investigations and it's gonna be better in the next one. But overall, thank you all of you for checking out this review. Press the like button, please subscribe this channel, and I will talk to you soon in another video. Talk to you then, bye!